Hey there! Today is day 39 of the Draw the Circle Prayer Challenge. And on tonight, the conversation was called Holy Ground. And it comes from Exodus, the 3rd chapter and 5th verse, where the instruction came from God to Moses to remove his sandals because the ground that he was standing on was holy. It gave really great stories on tonight. There was one incident where there was a retired chaplain. And so he goes to get glasses, and even at the time that he was getting the glasses, everything was not ordinary in this experience. And so he goes to get glasses. He's inspired to tell the person that he was a chaplain, and even though it didn't feel natural, it wasn't sure it was something he was supposed to do, he still followed through what the Holy Spirit was speaking to him to do, and he made sure that she knew he was a chaplain. She then broke out into tears, recognizing that it was she had just received the news that she had cancer, and her husband being military, she recognized the relationship and the role of a chaplain. She prayed that she would encounter a chaplain. And so had he not followed through with what the Holy Spirit was telling him to do, he would have interrupted this divine appointment. He later talks then and brings in the Moses' experience when he was given the instruction to remove his sandals because he was standing on holy ground. And he kind of walked through a little bit of Moses' every day and how, he gets up, he's tending his sheep, had to been an extremely boring existence. And so how in that moment, he got up that morning, it was a pretty ordinary day. But imagine they come into this bush that's on fire but not being consumed. That ordinary turned into extraordinary. Jayla reminded me as we were reading through this that on day 35, that it spoke about the fact that we take our ordinary and God adds the extra to it. And so what an ordinary day to be tending sheep, but what an extraordinary experience to be met by the Holy Spirit. And just how often we run into those circumstances where we want there to be something extreme. We want there to be something miraculous. And it's just something that's ordinary until God. It goes on to share an example about how there was a woman who had written a suicide note, and she was ready to take her life. She prayed out because, she didn't want to take her life, but she felt she was out of options. And she said she just saw this evangelist, felt like if she could talk to him, things would be better for her. And these numbers came to her mind, and she wrote those numbers down. And then she was inspired to make the phone call. Just as that was happening, this evangelist had stopped at a diner with his family. His family gets out, they go in. He decides to stretch his legs, and there's a phone ringing in a phone booth. So, this is going back a little bit. There was a phone booth, and he decides to answer the phone. And when he answered the phone, the operator asked for him by name. I mean, how extraordinary is that? And so he is able to connect and speak with this woman on the other end. And he goes inside to share this experience with his wife and concludes in the fact that God knows where I am. Doesn't that just settle your heart with excitement that God knows where you are, and he will create divine appointments just for you? He'll take an ordinary experience and add his extra to it. It concluded with this statement in our lesson tonight on Holy Ground, that the purpose of prayer is not to give orders to God. The purpose is to get orders from God. So tune into your prayers. Be willing to receive the orders from God, who will take your ordinary and make it extraordinary. I look forward to connecting with you on tomorrow, our final day, day 40 of the Draw the Circle Prayer Challenge.